Welcome, college basketball fans, to the Full Court Press Podcast with LT and Sammy D. This is the podcast that brings you legendary stories from college basketball's golden era and dives in deep with a current analysis of today's game. Get ready for the most energetic and entertaining college basketball podcast around. Let's get it.
Hello and welcome to another Full Court Press, a college basketball coaches show. We got LT's back with Sammy D. We got another great one. The NCAA tournament's going on, and unfortunately yesterday, or 2 days ago, the NCAA transfer portal opened. So it's going to be a shit show, but we love it. We love college basketball. But don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. If you love the show, you like the show, smash the subscribe button, especially if you're watching us clowns on not the middle clown. Well, he's not a clown. But on our YouTube page, let's subscribe and keep going. But, you know, Sam, I got to see this program and this coach firsthand. We've had his dad on the show. We're not going to talk about his grandpa's dog, Lucky. But we got Bryant head coach Phil Martelli Jr. on the Full Court Press. Welcome, Coach.
Fellas, it is great to be with you. And I will be honest and say I've been called a clown many a time. So mostly in my house, probably mostly by my wife and kids.
Probably rightfully so by your wife and kids too, right? There you go. There's a lot to talk about with college basketball. I want to kind of start with your experience in the NCAA tournament in the first round and what that meant to the players and kind of just the overall program at Bryant.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's quite an experience, and I was fortunate to go twice as a player, you know, in at-large situations, and now 4 times as a coach. Obviously, first time as a head coach, but you know, 4 times as a coach, and I mean, it never gets old. You know, it's one of those things that, like, I would liken it, I guess, to go to like Disney World, right? Like, there's people that just like love to go to Disney, and they're like, as soon as they leave Disney, they're like, I want to go back. You know what I mean? And that's how I feel. I'm like, I wish the season started right now and we could get to conference tournament next year and win it and be right back in the NCAA tournament. You don't want it to end. So, and it's all the things, right? It's, you know, at our level, like, it's the charter flight. We don't get to do that a lot. It's the police escorts. It's the press conferences. It's the arena. It's the open practice. It's, you know, it's all that stuff that is just really special.
Yeah. I've been to Disney once or twice. I never want to go back.
I went once. I actually liked it. So I'm
yeah.
No, I'm not sitting here like, oh my God, we gotta go back. We all went as a family. My brother Jimmy's an assistant at Penn State. My sister teaches in the Philadelphia area, and I forget what year it was, maybe 2019 or something. We all went. So it was me, my wife, my 3 kids, my brother, his wife, his 3 kids, my sister, her husband, and they're at that time had 3 or maybe the 4th had just been born. And I had a blast. I actually really, really, really enjoyed it.
Did your dad go, and did you wear the Mickey Mouse ears?
He did not. No, we weren't like the matching T-shirt. That's not us. Like, we went on some rides. He went down the water slide at the hotel. My mom did that. Like that. It was fun. But the joke has been every year my dad would say to the kids, to all the grandkids, if at that time if Michigan, Bryant, and Penn State all go to the NCAA tournament, we'll go back to Disney. And then it turned into, now that he's retired, if Penn State and Bryant go to the NCAA tournament, we're going to Disney. So we haven't quite been able to link it up. Jimmy went a couple of times at VCU, and I didn't go. Obviously, we went this year, but Penn State didn't go. So
that's awesome.
We're gonna
talk a little bit about that, like just the family dynamic. It just seems like coaching and mentorship and teaching, like, just kind of is in your family with you and your brother, and then your sister being a teacher as well. Yeah. Like, is that kind of just been the culture in your family?
Yeah, I think being around my dad, you almost like can't help but get that bug a little bit. You know, watching him make an impact on people's lives, and not just his players, but like all these people that he comes in contact with. So that rubs off somewhere, and you see the value in that, you know, and I think part of the problem maybe in our society, in our world today, is like people don't see that enough. They don't see the value in helping other people where we grew up, and that was like a firsthand. You saw that every single day. So you almost can't help but to like fall in love with that a little bit and say like, all right, like I see how he's looked at and what he does, and I want to do that same thing. And for me and Jimmy, it just happens to be through coaching basketball. For Elizabeth, it happens to be through, teaching fourth graders, so yeah, you just can't help it. Like you just see that, and you see it gets infectious a little bit. Like I want to do that too. I want to help people too.
Yeah. Does your sister embrace the transfer portal because she's a new class every year?
That's a good call, actually. We haven't had any deep discussions about the transfer portal. She's not as active on Twitter or X, whatever we call it now, that she used to be. But she's usually not shy with her opinions. So, if you search her tweets, I'm sure you can find something on the transfer portal. She's like all of us. All of us coaches are the same too, right? Like, we love the transfer portal. For me, I love the transfer portal. We got Earl Timberlake and Rafael Pinzone and Barry Evans. You hate the transfer portal when you lose somebody to the transfer portal. So we're all a very fickle bunch. You guys know that. You've talked to us
for sure.
Yeah, and obviously there's no off season in college basketball anymore. I mean, you had your off season was literally the plane back from Cleveland to Providence or wherever you flew into. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, I was joking with Coach Tim Miles at we were at the Mountain West conference, and I said, "All right, did you enjoy your vacation?" Which was walking from the locker room to the press conference. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's the truth. I texted these guys on Sunday. I said, I'm already over the spring. Some of the phone calls I got, and then you get the coaching rumors that people want to talk about. I'm like, I just want to coach my team. Like that's not, and all these people hitting me like, I got a guy for you, and it's funny because you guys know how it is. Like people want to hit you up and be like, I watched you play. I got one just like Timberlake. You do? Because he was one of a kind. I've been coaching 20-some years. I never coached a dude like that. So, and it never quite equals the same thing. But, I appreciate people. They want to help. They want to try and help you with a guy. But sometimes they make those comparisons. I'm like, that dude damn near averaged a triple-double. Like, that's pretty unique. So I don't know if they do that in the NBA. Like, do they call GMs and be like, I got the next LeBron James for you, like some second round pick. I don't know.
Yeah, everybody's always going to have the next whoever, but it's what we've seen. It's about creating that identity within a program, and sometimes that identity has to change, year to year. So, I mean, as you kind of move through the transfer portal process, this week and the next several weeks, like what is that? Like, what are you looking for, and what is that kind of pitch when you find somebody who you think is going to fit in with your program's identity to come to Smithfield?
Yeah, what I say is this: like when a name pops up, right? So Luke Taylor pops in the transfer portal.
There you go.
I can tell.
I'm actually in it. I just entered it. 6'3",
you
overweight.
Got to be part of it.
I'm a half a star at McDonald's. Anyway, go ahead, Coach.
But when that name pops in there, the easy part to me is he good enough, right? Like I can click on Synergy, watch the film quick, not even that many clips, to be honest with you. I can go on all the sites we use for statistics and analytics. I can have a pretty good idea. Like, all right, he's somebody we would want. The harder pieces are, can we get him, right? Like, especially in this day and age, like what's it going to take? Like, is it an NIL deal? Okay. We might not have what he's looking for. And the character piece. And that's something that we've tried to dive into these last spring and this spring we'll do the same, is really trying to lock into that. And sometimes you get differing reports, right? Like, all right, Luke's coming from school X, you call school X and they're like, yeah, like he was kind of like this and he was kind of moody and he was, and you have to decipher like, okay, was he that because he wasn't playing? Because I can understand that a little bit, right? Like not every guy's going to be happy and jumping around bubbly when they're not playing. If they're going to play for me and play for our program, okay, that might change and we've seen that. To me, it's like if you get enough red flags, and I'm like, all right, that's not for us. And we passed on some talented guys. Passed on guys that average double figures at places similar, if not a little bit better than ours last year. That had good years at those places, at least statistically. But I didn't get a vibe from them that they cared about what we cared about. They didn't care about their teammates. They didn't care about winning the way that they needed to care about winning. They weren't appreciative for the opportunities. And to me, the guys that we've taken, the guys that I've been around that have transferred, even before the transfer portal existed, they were excited for the opportunity. Like they wanted to be in your program and they wanted to have a chance and they wanted to play and they wanted to do those things. And they were super appreciative. And I think that goes a long way. So again, we're looking for talent for sure, but that character piece is so big to me, especially on a campus like Bryant. 3,000, 3,500 students. It's a very close-knit community. Our everybody's friends. I say, like I'm friends with the director of admissions. She's become a close friend. A friend of the VP for student affairs. Like I feel like they're friends. They're
two of the most important people to be in.
Right?
One to get them in and one to keep them in.
Yeah, they care, right? They care about the program. I do feel like they care about me and they care about our guys. And it's like, I don't want to bring somebody in that they're looking at me like, what's he doing here? Like he doesn't fit you. And that's really important to me, that we are. I say all the time, I want to be a good teammate, and I want our program to be a good teammate on campus. So I want to make sure we have the right guys that know what that means to be good teammates.
The one thing I want to know, was there a lot of discussions for you leading up to the NCAA tournament with seeing if guys are coming back, guys are transferring? Because I asked that question to a couple, Coach Izzo, who obviously played and is a family friend, and then Coach Oates, and I think there was someone else I asked that to also. Have those discussions kind of been ongoing for you, or is it kind of just like it's happening now?
It's happening now. I have not broached those subjects. Now we had a bunch of guys that were just done their eligibility. So that was a big portion of it already. But I did not really. To me, it was one of those like, we'll get to it. We get to it, and don't want to put anything in anybody's mind that doesn't need to be clouding their thoughts right now for what we were doing. Now I would want to know, like, if there was a guy that was pretty hell-bent on like, I'm going in the portal when this thing's over, I'd rather know early than know late.
Yeah.
So if
so you don't play them, is that why, or you just don't play them? So you
don't
play them, or like how does that work?
We got to do what we got to do, and we got to go win games. So, but I would rather know, especially like a kid that was graduating. Like we had some kids graduating last year, like that ended up coming back. But like I would have wanted to know if they were thinking about that. I would have wanted to have that conversation early, right, and kind of be able to plan. Rather than, okay, we're 3 weeks into the portal, and next thing you know, you get a knock on your door, like, yeah, I'm going to go in the portal. And you're like, whoa, like, we weren't ready for that. So you'd rather know that for sure. But, I didn't have any of those conversations, and you can kind of tell, right? Like, you can kind of have that feeling. And we have great assistant coaches here that have a good pulse on things. And I would ask them from time to time, like, what do you think? Like, I think those guys really like it here. Like, they talk about how much they love it. And, we try
you saw that in the press conferences, the kids were genuine, whether it was before, after the loss, they're genuine. But
and here's what, like,
we talk about coaches who don't have those $1 million, $5 million NIL budgets, and they're like, our current players are our best recruitment and retainment piece. It's like if players like playing with these guys, they're going to stick around.
Yeah, and that goes back to the question about like how you work the portal, like. Again, if you get guys that are coming from situations where they didn't play as much, or they were tough situations, or maybe they didn't have that relationship with the coaching staff, or they were kind of cast aside, and they get here and we're putting our arm around them, we're giving them love, we're trying to build them back up, you get a little more appreciation from that. And I'm not saying it's going to happen all the time, but like Earl Timberlake could have left, but he stayed because he knew that he had people that cared about him. Mm-hmm. Not to say that the people at the previous places didn't care about him, but it was different. It was a different vibe there for him. Same with Rafael Pinzon, like same with Barry Evans, same with all these guys that, they could go, they could have gone, but they recognize, like, you know what, I'm in a pretty good situation. I didn't play at my last place. I'm playing here a lot. Coach loves me. He cares about me. He cares about not just the number on the back, but the name, the person. And I think that's going a long way for us. And again, I understand that this is an incredibly transactional world we live in right now, and I'm never surprised by any of the transactional stuff. but we talk about it like we just want to dive into the relational part every single day and trust it. And you know what? Are we going to go 100 for 100? Probably not. But if we go 7 out of 10, we go 8 out of 10, and we can. That's pretty good. It's better than a lot of other people be able to do.
Yeah, and I think it's funny because there's two things that have stuck out so far in the transfer portal in the tournament. Is the first one was the Vanderbilt player loses a game 13 minutes later is in the transfer portal. Awkward. I mean, how do you do that, tweet that from the locker room, let alone the bus ride or train, the flight back to Nashville? And then Justin Pippen, who's a freshman at Michigan, enters the transfer portal, is not even going to play in the Sweet 16. I don't get it.
And those are the obviously like the, if you want to call them negative stories to it. Like
the outliers.
I got two guys for you, Coach. I got two guys for you. One from Vanderbilt, one from Michigan. Great cultural fits.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it just is what it is, and it's hard. I mean, it's hard because there are times where the transferring thing makes sense. Like there are guys that are stuck on people's benches, and it works, right? And there's good to that, but there is negative to it. We all know that, and I look at it as it's we're there, right? Like we're there. It's been coming. It's been coming. It's been coming. We are there. You have to embrace it in some way. Doesn't mean you have to love everything about it, but you have to embrace it and say, this is what it is, and how do you best maximize it? Use it to your advantage when you can.
Mm-hmm. So you have a really good quote in the Providence Journal about chasing greatness. And it says, we didn't chase great this year to then go back and chase good or mediocre or whatever. We're chasing great, and that starts now, right? Can you talk a little bit about that chase? And, have you had conversations with the university president, like Ross Gattell, your AD, Bill Smith, about like what's this next phase of Bryant men's basketball? I know you got a new arena that's, in the works to get up and running the next couple of years. Like, what does greatness look like for Bryant basketball?
Well, it's continued success on the court, right? And trying to win championships and trying to continue to win championships, which is hard to do, but that's what we have to chase. And then it's just, being a program that people can be proud of. I want the entire Bryant community. I want the entire Smithfield, Rhode Island community and Rhode Island in general, New England region. Like, I want all those people to be proud of Bryant basketball. I want to be able to wear that logo on my chest around places and feel a pride to that, and not walk in somewhere and be like, oh, oh, that's somebody from Bryant. Like, oh, they're a bunch of this and that. It's like, I don't want that. I never want that. Like, I want it to be a place where we can walk around and be proud of who we are. And certainly winning championships is a great part of that. But, it's also the messages that we've gotten to say how well the guys handled themselves and how they've carried themselves and, the respect and the pride and all those things like that hits hard for me. That hits really hard. Mm-hmm. So that's part of chasing that greatness. And, and a big part of it is on-court success too, and it's figuring out like, what is it that we can do to maximize all these things? Certainly in recruiting, getting talented guys, getting the right guys, knowing that these other teams in our league are not going anywhere. They're going to load back up too. And, it's going to be another dogfight. And, just trying to promote that atmosphere of, look, we're trying to be great every day. And some days we're not going to be great. That's okay. But we're chasing it every day. And, the full part of that quote is like, last year was a good year. We won 20 games. We were 11-5 in the conference. We finished tied for second. We lost in the semifinals. It was a good year. By a lot of standards, there's probably 200 schools that would have traded with us, with that, right? Like of the 364, like there's probably at least that would have traded. It was a good year. And I appreciated people coming in the office, coming by, sending messages. Man, you guys had a good year. It was a good year. It was a good year. And it was. And I appreciate that. But there's an emptiness to a good year, right? Yeah. Like there's an emptiness to that. And I didn't want this group to walk away with an emptiness, and feel like, man, we just came up short. And great for every group is different, right? Great for the next group might not be win a championship. It maybe it's beyond that. Maybe it's win a championship and win a game in the team, right? Maybe it's get to the championship game. Whatever greatness looks like for an individual group, that's what we want to chase. And so there's not necessarily like a well, this is what we have to do. We have to do this. We have to do this. We have to do this. No, we have to maximize the potential of each individual as a student, as a athlete, as a individual, as a person, and then maximize the group as best we can. And again, in all those areas, not just on the court, but in the classroom and in society and on the campus and in the community, and doing all those things.
Yeah, I'm sure John Becker is going to have a word or two for you from Vermont, but we'll just
I'm sure that he is as good a coach as there is in the country, right there.
Yeah. How difficult do you think it's going to be? I mean, I know non-conference scheduling has kind of been a thorn in a lot of coaches' butts or behinds. How difficult do you think this season or this off season is going to be to schedule for next season, just with the success you're having?
Yeah, we've had a really hard time with that over the last couple of years. We're pretty willing to play most anybody. Now we do have some restrictions with, budget-wise, trying to travel and do those things. Like, it's not just you can't just hop on a plane easy and go to this place or that place. But I mean, you've seen it with who we've played. This year we played. I think it was 3 NCAA tournament teams and 4 regular season champions, something like that. Because that's what was there, right? That's what was there to go to Chattanooga and play 2 games down there. That's what was there to go play St. John's and the opportunity to play, finish a home and home with Towson, and all these teams that were really good. So that's what presented itself, and I did the schedule for a long time myself. I have Nick Schmidt, Mark Schmidt's son on my staff from St. Bonaventure. His son, he's kind of handling some of that stuff for me now. But it's been hard, especially regionally. We don't get anything regional, so home and homes. Fortunately, Brown plays us every year. Mike Martin's a great coach, and they beat us here at the buzzer this past year. We've had great games with them, and that's a local 15 minutes away rivalry we should be playing. But outside of that, we don't get a whole lot of local home and homes or guarantees or whatever. So, we kind of look everywhere, and when opportunities present themselves, we try to jump on it and say, we have to bring in a certain number of guarantee games. We have to do some other stuff, you have to figure that out. We've had to play 2 non-D1s the last 2 years, not because we wanted to play 2 non-D1s, but we need another home game. You're looking at 2 non-conference home games, and you're going we need somebody else. And so, yeah, it's been hard. It's been hard, but at the same time, we're willing to play just about anybody. So, that makes it easy too, because it's all right, that's a good team. We'll go play them. That's okay. We were 6-9 in the non-conference this year and ended up with 23 wins. And a lot of that had to do with who we played in the non-conference, got us ready to play in the conference.
Yeah.
But Vermont does the same thing. Colgate's had to deal with the same thing. Matt Langos had to deal with, in some way, and some people say this to me all the time, well, it's a respect thing. I go, yeah, but it does me no good. It does nothing for my sanity. But it is, right? It's I get it. It's, there's a respect there. Well, people don't want to play, but I would say play the games. And for most of us at this level, it's the conference. The conference is what matters. If you're good in the conference, it doesn't matter what you did non-conference. And some of these teams you see that go through these great non-conference schedules and then win a bunch of games, and they get in the conference play and they're 6-12. And it's okay, what was that for?
Yeah, like the SEC.
I'm not calling anybody out.
Well, you said 6-12. There are a couple of teams 6-12.
Well, at that level, it's different. I'm saying at this level, where it's all right, you just happen to get this great schedule.
Yeah, they want to start their non-conference.
Yeah, you
mid-majors who want to start their non-conference off going 7-0.
Exactly.
But then when they get into conference play, they're obviously not ready for real competition.
Yeah. Sam, you think he's ready?
Let's do it. So, Coach, we do a little thing called the shot clock. LT is going to fire off, 5 or 6 quick little questions for you. Some may be one-word answers. Some may lead to a short story. But the platform's going to be yours, however you want to handle them.
We don't typically get deep in the shot clock here, so
I know.
Yeah. I've heard that. We've heard that before, and also too. I'm not going to ask him one of these questions because his father went on for 45
This is how
minutes.
we learned about Lucky the dog.
Lucky the dog. I asked your dad, "What's the animal that best describes? Like, what's his spirit animal?" And he stopped. He thought, he's like, my dad had this dog, and it was like blind with only 3 legs or something. His name was Lucky, and I'm like, I just lost it. So I'm not going to ask you that question.
It went off into it was an incredible.
Meanwhile, my dad is deathly afraid of dogs.
Yes,
he told us that.
So
yes,
that's what he said. He was like, so after this 5-minute story, he was like, so I'm not a dog. We're like, all right, cool.
I'll give you a quick one on that. This is I'm hijacking your
yeah, for sure.
You're fine.
He goes. There's one day a year where he goes like right before Christmas to go shop for my mom, and usually she'll tell my sister, tell him like, here's what I want this from this store. Da, da, da. Mm-hmm. So they go to the King of Prussia Mall, big mall in Philadelphia. This is his night to go. I think my wife was with them too. I think we were still in Philadelphia, but my sister definitely was. They show up, and it was bring your dog to get a picture with Santa night in this huge mall. He lost it. Couldn't do it. All these dogs walking around the mall. He couldn't. I'm telling you, definitely afraid.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's
so he's staying on the other end of the court from your mascot,
Yes, he's
like PTSD type stuff.
I think he can be around the cartoon mascot dog. I don't. When they bring the real Tupper out, he's not.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. We should start barking when we see him next time. All right, biggest misconception about America East basketball.
Ooh. That's a good question. I will say this. I don't know if it's a misconception, but there is outstanding coaches in this conference. Outstanding coaches. I mean, you mentioned Becker, and he certainly led the way. But, man, you go down the line, and I feel like every night – and here's what I say. When you go through this conference and you go through 1 through 9, you know right away the identity of each team. We're all different, but it is clear to see the identity of each team. And I don't know that that's always the case, in every program, in every conference. Like, the identity, what they're trying to do. Again, some of us may play faster, some may play slower, some may play man, some may play zone, some may press a little bit, whatever it is, some may run a lot of set plays, but the identity. And those coaches have done a tremendous job building those programs, building those identities. You know what it is.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. Which team in regular season play was called the most in fouls in the American East or America East Conference?
A little trivia.
Called for the most fouls?
Yeah.
Was it us?
No, you were 5th with 15.6. The team that led your conference, I'm not going to tell you who it was 18.4 fouls called per game. Who could that be?
NJIT?
You're correct. You know who officials like the best. You know which team with 9th had 13.3 fouls
You're
called.
You're getting in trouble.
I don't know. You tell me.
Vermont.
No, UMass Lowell.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
I was going to guess Vermont too. So.
Yeah, I was too. I think Becker knows how to work the officials. Give me your funniest.
We had the lowest free throw rate, and I was not happy about that.
Yeah, I didn't. I saw that. I didn't want to bring that up.
We had the
funniest.
We shot the most twos and had the best offensive rebounding percentage, but we had the lowest free throw rate.
Well, you also were 4th in the nation in rebounds per game and 18th in points scored per game. So it was 82.3. So you guys would score the basketball. Give me your funniest recruiting story.
Whew.
Could be as head coach, assistant,
whatever. Well, I don't know how
player even,
but there's a guy in the portal now. We had on a visit here that I spent 5 minutes with him in the car and almost pulled over and told him to get the bleep out of my car. I couldn't deal with him anymore. And he wasn't like necessarily directly like doing anything towards me, just his whole attitude, his whole demeanor. He was kind of a higher level guy that the full story is pretty good. I'm not going to that will take over the Lucky the dog story for longest answer. But let's just say that's a guy I'm not surprised it has not worked out, for him in his first 2 stops on this. I'm trying to think about another funny one.
So, Sam, let's just start guessing names because there's about 400 guys in the portal that have been on their second and third stop.
Yeah.
So
700 now. So it's crazy.
Yeah, it's a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a funny one though. Like if there was any just really funny.
Do you ever have to? We've got some good ones of coaches doing like living room visits. Obviously, you know, with some kids and their parents, and they're just awful food that the parents bring out to eat.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Or they broke the screen door.
Oh God, yeah,
That was funny.
Well, I'll give you this one, and this was not mine. This was Joe Mihalik, my boss at Niagara. When he was an assistant at LaSalle, he had a great one. They were recruiting, I forget the kid's name, ended up playing there. Was a good player. But it was Speedy Morris was the head coach. Fran Dunphy was the assistant. Joe Mihalik was the other assistant.
Jeez.
So they do the visit. They come out. Speedy didn't like to drive on highways. He was afraid to drive on highways, and he wouldn't drive.
Name's Speedy.
Dump was driving. Speedy was in the front seat, passenger seat. Coach Mihalik had before he went in the car was taking off his sport coat. Well, they drive off without realizing he's not in the car. So he sits there a minute. They're in there like talking. Eventually realized he wasn't in the car. Had to come back and get him. They pull up to get him, and the way he tells the story, he's like, the first thing Speedy said was, "You didn't go back in that house, did you?" And he goes, "No, I sat out here and figured you'd come back." This is before, way before cell phones and all that stuff.
Yeah.
He used to tell that. That's one of my favorite. It's not my story.
That's pretty funny. Yeah.
They didn't realize he wasn't in the car. They took off without him. He's just sitting on the curb, wondering when they're gonna realize and circle back.
At least it's not like you went to the wrong Charleston. Someone's done that before too. So give me the best coaching advice or your coaching mentor, not your father.
Wow. I mean, I've been very fortunate to have a lot of people have an impact on me. I mean, all the guys I've worked for, a lot of the guys I've worked with. I think it's as simple, like the best advice really is just to just keep working hard, you know, and keep pushing and keep getting through. I hate saying it this way because it sounds, I don't know, but like a lot of the longevity in this business is like how much crap you can keep putting up with, you know, and eventually break through. Because I saw a lot of guys fall, you know, off along the way. Guys that I started with in the business that I thought like, man, he's got it all together and he's got it figured out. And then, you know, it could be a number of things. It could be family reasons. It could be health reasons. It could be just frustration. It could be, you know, whatever. And I think it's that. It's just keep going because you don't know. You have no idea when that opportunity is going to come. And it's probably sick in some ways, right? Like I sat here for 20 years thinking like, all right, I could be a head coach. I could be a head coach. But like, there weren't a whole lot of opportunities. Like it wasn't like I was skyrocketing up the charts, you know, like I worked in the Northeast Conference, then the MAC again at a different school, the CAA when it was kind of starting on a little bit of decline, you know, back to the MAC to the Northeast, back to the Northeast Conference, to the America East. Like I wasn't like some ACC assistant at 29 years old, right? Like, so you don't know what that opportunity is going to look like. And I think a bunch of those guys probably along the way just said like, just keep working hard, do your job. And the other thing for me was always like, I wanted to earn the respect of the guys I worked with. I wanted to earn the respect of the people in the office. I think there's too many coaches that are trying to earn the respect of the media members that can promote them or the search firm people that can help them get a job. And they don't get the respect of the people in their office. And to me, it was always about getting the respect of those people.
We're seeing a lot more, especially like the mid-major head coaches, like they're not messing around with their happiness. You know, like if they're turning down jobs that maybe on paper look like a promotion, right? But we're seeing them stick around like an extra few years and not taking that first jump to a better school or a better conference. You know, is that something that, you know, you guys talk a lot about, you know, or are you seeing it, you know, or they're just like, hey, like if I jump to this other school that on paper looks better, I don't have the 3 to 5 years to turn that program around. Like they expect such instant success there. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's funny because that has come up here recently, you know, in some conversations, and it's very true. And I think, Joe Mahalik used to say the year, like it was like we'd have a good year and he's like, I just want the years. I want to get more years. And sometimes I was frustrating because I'm like, dude, I'm making $28,000. I need more than the years, like I need a bump. But as you go on in this, you see that and you see the value in that and recognize that. And for right now, especially, you see it like guys are getting hired and fired like snap of a finger, right? Like in there is this, again, because of the portal, because of the NIL stuff, because of all these things, like the expedited, like we need to win and we need to win now, and it's not like, hey, let's give this guy a couple years and see what happens. Everybody talks about Krzyzewski those first couple years at Duke, or Fran Dunphy his first couple years at Penn, and then eventually it turned, and we see that a lot. But there's still this like, all right, we got to go, and yeah, I think there's watch. We all make enough money, if you're in a head coaching position, Division I, you're probably making enough money. You might, again, everybody wants to make more money in life.
Sure.
Everybody's looking for more, but you're probably okay, and your family's probably okay, and it doesn't mean you're living. You don't have a yacht, you don't have whatever, but you have enough, and I think there's an appreciation for that. I just know for me personally, I think there's an appreciation in being a place that cares about you, and genuinely cares about you and believed in you. And like I said, there weren't a whole lot of people out there that did. And the gap is growing of like good job, bad job in a lot of conferences.
Yes.
I think that is playing a factor. I know it would for me if there were people banging down my door. I'd be like, well, that gap is growing. And it's like, what is a good job and what's a bad job right now is a little bit blurred. But then when you get into it, you dive into it and you're like, well, if that school's paying $8 million revenue sharing and this school's paying $100,000, well, you're not competing with them. You're not. Like, you're just not. Like, and it doesn't mean the $8 million team's going to win the championship every year, right? It's the Yankees in baseball. Like, they're going to have the highest salary. So they're going to probably be in the mix, right? Like, they're probably going to have a chance. Doesn't mean they win it every year, but they're going to have a chance. Where whatever other team, like Colorado Rockies, if theirs is the lowest, I have no idea. But if theirs is the lowest, like, you're probably not going to be in that mix. Maybe you catch lightning in a bottle once every however long, but if you're not living up to that, then that's what we're seeing now in a lot of college basketball.
Yeah, just go on Twitter and every fan's team is the best job ever, and they should hire, all the the bigger, not bigger names, but the Bruce Pearl's going to Indiana. Bruce Pearl next week's going to Kentucky. It's like, dude, he's got a good job and he's happy. Yeah. So before I was rudely interrupted by my partner, I have one more question on the shot clock. I'm a little bit disappointed because this one's a good one. So they're making a movie about your life. Okay. I need the movie title. I need who's going to play you and the soundtrack, the one song that describes you that would be the movie soundtrack. 2 questions in one, Sam.
There you go. You're getting better, LT. It's packed it.
I am.
Jeez, you hit me hard on that one. That's a hard one right there. They're all hard ones. The title, who's going to play me? First off, it had to be a comedy. I'm a comedy guy. It was great to be in Cleveland because I love the Major League movies 1 and 2 are like 2 of my favorites. I quote them all the time.
Oh God.
Man, yeah, it'd have to be some sort of comedy. Probably stupid comedy, like Will Ferrell, probably in there somewhere. He's not playing me, but probably in there somewhere. I don't even know any actors' names. Like, who's a bald actor that's like mediocre looking? That's whoever that is. Whoever's like the most mediocre bald actor is playing me.
Okay.
There's that one bald guy that's the action guy, but he's too.
Danny DeVito?
No.
I could see like the Jason Statham kind of.
That's the guy, right? He's like the actor. Yeah, he's the one bald head guy, but he's a little bit. I'm not as tough as him. I can't. There'd be no stunts in this movie. But if he wanted to like comedy, let's say him, he does. He comes over to comedy. He does a comedy, but we surround him with like Will Ferrell makes an appearance.
Yeah.
You want to bring DeVito and let's bring the Always Sunny from Philadelphia guys.
There we go.
So we'll bring them in for like an appearance. Max from Always Sunny, we went to high school together. He was older than me, but St. Joe's Prep. He was like a senior when I was a freshman. And then the title, this is terrible. I'm gonna go Philadelphia Phil. That's a lousy name. It's a lousy title. No one's coming to see this.
Sounds like a different type of movie.
Yeah.
Don't think any of our kids are gonna be watching. So then, what would be the song that best describes
Philly Phil or something like that?
Okay, that's fine. Magic Mike, Philly Phil, whatever. What would the soundtrack? What's the song that best describes you? How about that one? What's your walkout song, as Sam would call it?
Well, as you know, as you heard in Cleveland, I do like the rap battle scene.
Yeah, you're terrible, according to your players. Terrible.
I mean, I can do the rap battle, but it's like doing a monologue that you've memorized from. So what happens is, because I didn't answer your question when you asked in the press conference, you caught me way off guard. Is when the music's not working in the movie, when the beat goes off in 8 Mile and he says, blank the beat, I'll go a cappella. So when the music's not working, that's what I say, and then I'll do that. Occasionally I'll throw in a little twist of like something like, we're playing whoever, and I'll throw their name in there somewhere. I thought they all got a kick out of it. I thought it was pretty good, but I know my rap skills are not, I'm not sitting here.
Are you a hip hop fan?
I am, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
So I'd say here's what I'd go with. It'd be either something from Jay-Z. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah. For sure.
Outside of the rap genre, I would say something Bruce Springsteen. He's a family favorite. My dad's a big Bruce Springsteen fan. So, maybe there's something in there with Bruce. But I'm not good at that. I'm not good at movies. I have my favorite movies. I do like to quote certain movies and certain things. But actors, I don't even know who their names are.
That was a good answer.
DeVito could,
like in 30, 40 years, because he's bald.
A year or two away, if he's not doing those Jersey Mike's commercials, then.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, Coach, we appreciate you coming on the show. I'm going to turn it over to you for the last minute of the episode. If there's anything you want to share to kind of the Bryant faithful and the community of Smithfield, anything they could be kind of looking out for during the quote unquote off season. I know you'll be working day to day with your staff, but anything you want to share to your fan base, the platform's yours.
Just really thankful. First off, thankful to you guys, having me back on here after the Selection Sunday appearance, and any coverage that we can get is great. And we're very fortunate here. We get great local coverage. Our local TV people are all awesome, all 3 stations, newspaper writers, some radio people that have really embraced us and follow us. Again, at this level, you don't get that. We do a weekly media availability, and there's always 4 or 5, maybe 6 people in there, and again, there's a lot of places that don't have that. So, to have that type of coverage is tremendous. And then, the support of the university, the administration, all the people, all the way through, and then the Smithfield community have embraced really more about embracing my family. We moved here 7 years ago, didn't know anybody, and have made some really, really great friends and people that have been super supportive, that, were here for the championship game or texting, that they were having watch parties on Friday night, to watch the game. Embrace my wife, embrace my kids. That's a big deal. And we're out and about in the community. I got young kids, so we're at AU tournaments, and I'll be in Smithfield Little League coming up with my man Nate. He got bumped up to he's 7. He got bumped up to the 8-year-old kid pitch division, so he's pumped about that. We can't wait for that to start. And just that stuff. Like, I just like being around. I just like people. I like being around people and connecting with people. And we're very fortunate to be in a state, in an area where there's a lot of great people.
Yeah. Yeah. A little advice for the kid pitch division: just maybe tie him to a tree and just throw balls at him, just so he gets used to some of these kids, because some of these kids are a little bit wild.
I forget what they do early. They don't really do pitching machine up here. Back in Philly, my older one did pitch machine, which I love that league, because that ball's right down and a lot of action. The kid pitches, they're like waiting for somebody to throw the ball anywhere near the strike zone. So yeah, he's pumped though. He likes baseball. I love baseball too. I'm a huge Phillies fan. So
Mike Schmidt, baby. Mike Schmidt.
Michael Jack Schmidt.
There you go.
Greatest player ever. So, Coach, you're going to stick on with us for one more second. Sam, another great episode with Coach Phil Martelli Jr. Didn't know the title, didn't know the actor, figured out the song. We talked about dogs. We talked about many things. But check out Bryant. If you don't know who Bryant is, you should now. Great team, great program, and they're just going to keep rising in the America East. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week on another Full Court Press, a college basketball coaches show.